Boy, there was a lot of news this week. A lot of love, a lot of hate. But love is still in the air.
Love is in the air. Everywhere I look around. Love is in the air. Every sight and every sound.
That's right, guys. Love is in the air. You know what? I love that song. I think it was back from 1976 or 1978 when that song came out. But you know what? There's been just a lot of stuff in the news recently. And, honestly, I'm trying to take the politics out of this, guys. But, probably 15 of you came back and said, I don't like the current guy in office's attitude, but I don't know that I could live with 4 more years of what we had. And then I've had other people say, I can't stand the guy. And then I've had other people say, I love the guy. So you know what? I'm taking politics out of it. All I know is, like you, I want rates to come down. And the reason I made that comment is because I got a lot of you that came back at me this week from last week's segment, just talking about current status of the economies, et cetera. So let me start with your questions. Is the market changing? So guys, listen, last week we talked about that. Here's what I'll tell you. Depending on your geography, yes and no. Depends on the pocket of the neighborhood that you're in or the community that you're in, yes and no. So is the market changing? Yeah, it's adapting to what we're getting ready to see, which is probably that rates are going to start adjusting in a downward direction. Is it going to be tomorrow? No. But I can see the market is starting to shift to that. Is it time to refinance? So here's what I'm going to tell you. I answer this question every single week from you guys. Sorry, it's a little warm in here, so I have to loosen my shirt. So is it time to refinance? Yes. Guys, listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. I've been sounding the alarm for months, okay? It's really starting to show. Clients are calling me right now with an average of $36,000 to $40,000 in credit card debt. And they bought a new car. And maybe they have some other private loans they took out, like some of those buy now, pay laters, and maybe some other obligations. Now, if you're feeling the squeeze, you are not alone. So guys, you need to call me. The average client that's called me right now is saving $2,000 a month in cash flow. Who cares if you've got that 2.3.4.5% interest rate? If you're going to free up $2,000 a month in cash flow and your payment goes up ever so slightly, really, who cares what your rate is? Do you really think you're going to pay off your house? Because if you do, then you need to look at the loan balance and your timeline horizon of how much you owe versus how long you've got before you want to pay it off, and do the math. And I think you're going to find I'm right, because I'm your favorite mortgage guy, and I've got all the tools here to show you that the likelihood of you being able to do that and still pay your current debt off, not going to happen. Not being negative, guys, just being straightforward with you. Renovation home loans. Yes, we talk about that for the past 5 or 6 weeks. Here's the thing. I've got 2 of them going from this week. They started on Monday. One of them is complete renovation of a house they own because they found they didn't want to move. Another one is an example of their parents have sold their home. They're aging. They live in my current clients live in a house that's got some backyard to it. So they're going to attach a roof time like cover, like portico over it. And they're going to build like a mother-in-law suite on the back of their house. That's a renovation loan. And of course, like I mentioned a minute ago, let's just say you want to update your house. No problem. All right, Steve, what is all this trigger lead stuff I've seen in the news all week? Okay, so trigger leads, guys, those of you who've bought a home in the past 3 years, you know how we warned you up front, or you got the email from us saying, hey, get ready, go to this website, donotcall.gov, donotcall.gov, register your phone number. And then also go to the website optoutprescreen.com, optoutprescreen.com, and put all of your information there. And what happens is this: the moment we pull your credit report, these agencies sell it. So they sell it to companies like mortgage companies and auto companies and alarm companies and anybody else that wants to buy it. This is what the credit bureaus do. So now it was just passed through the Senate. It's on its way to the president's desk, and it looks like it's going to pass. It's going to take about 6 months before it takes effect, and there'll be major changes. So you won't be getting all those harassing phone calls that show up as potential spam on your email. So listen, Many of you are asking the age old question, what are rates doing? Well, here's the deal. Can you afford to wait? Well, because if you're struggling and you're looking at refinancing with payments, one of the things I would tell you is this: it could damage your credit. Because if you're scrimping and saving to make this payments right now, it's going to make things a lot harder and a lot more expensive if you go to try to refinance later and your credit is dinged and your score is dropped. Now, let's talk about strategy here. Right now, rates are in great shape. If you're looking at refinancing or you're thinking about it, then call me. Let me run the strategic numbers for you so that we can look at it. It may work, it may not work, but I'm telling you, what I do know is credit can be impacted pretty violently from it. You can have some basic mood swings on these credit reports. Okay, let's talk about the Fed watch. So, Stephen Mirren, so he's one of the new folks that looks like he's going to be nominated to go in as a Fed governor, which is going to signal, again, more rate cuts. Now, look right here. I don't know if Katie's going to put it up here. I don't know if she's going to put it over here, but somewhere above my shoulders there is the chart. And I want you to look at all of how the Fed are making headlines because President Trump has nominated Mr. Murin to the current chair of Council of Economic Advisors. Boy, that's a mouthful. And I'm trying to read it and look at the camera here to temporarily fill a vacant governor's spot. Now, that's a big deal because Fed governors can vote on rate policy, and Murin is known for his dovish stance, which means he favors rate cuts. So look up here, and you'll see there's 4 on here. Let's just assume she put it here. There's 4 up here that are favoring the cut, and it's going to get better because they're all starting to line up. Now, as these 4 governors are starting to signal their support for the rate cut, this week we've got CPI and PPI coming out, and it could tip the scales even further. Now, if the inflation data comes in soft, we could see the Fed move sooner than later. Now, the global central banks are already cutting. Take a look at this one here, this chart. Turkey, 42% is their interest rate. They have a 33% inflationary rate, 33.5% inflationary rate. That's extreme, but it shows how aggressive some countries are getting to stabilize their economies. Now, I don't know anything about Turkey. 42%, nobody's borrowing money in that country. Nobody is. So keep in mind, guys, what is this saying? This is saying that we're poised to start that rate cut we've been talking about, seems like forever. But now, if we can just figure out what the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, is going to do, then maybe we might start seeing some better news. So let's talk about gas prices. That's a bright spot. For some good news on that, prices at the pump are coming down, right? Another signal. Inflation is getting better. Oil is trading at about $64 a barrel, the lowest we've seen in a while. Now, that's a relief for everyone and a signal that inflationary prices are easing. Now, the signals are lining up between falling oil prices, dovish Fed signals, global rate cuts. The signs are starting to line up for better things ahead. But timing is everything. And I tell you that each week. It's timing. If you're thinking about refinancing, consolidating debts, or just want to understand your options, don't wait. Call now before. That sounded terrible. That sounded like a commercial. Don't wait. Call now. Don't wait. Call me so that we can talk about this because I don't want your credit report to be impacted. So, guys, you know one thing. I'm your favorite mortgage guy. Let's stay ahead of the curve on this, guys. If you know anybody's thinking about buying, building, refinancing, renovating, selling, anything that has to do with the mortgage, guys, it's still slow. I need your help. I could use the referrals. Hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Bye now.
Everywhere I look around, love is in the air. Every sight and every sound.